wellnesscouch.com, streaming wellness into your lives.
You're listening to A Quirky Journey, the healthy family podcast with your hosts Jo Whitten and Fuad Kassab. Welcome to A Quirky Journey and a brand new year. Hey, Fufu.
Joe, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Joe, I'm great and terrible at the same time. But I'm just going to focus on the great side of things because, why talk about terrible stuff when terrible stuff is happening all over? It's just everywhere you look.
We have to talk about it a little bit, but we don't want to completely focus on it.
Yeah, that's right. So,
but let's have a catch up.
You doing all right?
Yeah. So, we've had a big break over Christmas, and did you have a nice quiet break? I hope you did.
Yeah,
we all needed it.
I had a bit of a mix. It's been such a big year last year. I spent some time with the family and some time camping on my own, to reconnect with nature and to calm myself down and align myself for the new year. So that's been good. It's been good to sort of take that time off and just focus on bringing in good things for the new year, because it's been such a difficult year for mostly everyone that I know.
I think everyone I talk to says that.
Yeah.
Funny.
It's definitely the worst year on record.
We've had
in my life.
A bit of a rocky start to the year here in Australia, which we'll talk about in a minute. But one thing I was just thinking when you said escaping to nature, I was talking to my daughter about this morning, that the older I get, the more I want to escape to nature. Isn't it funny? It's kind of like when you're younger, you want the noise and the excitement and the bustle. Yes. And as you get older, it's like, I just want some stillness and peace and quiet.
Running water, maybe a little bit of greenery and trees and an open sky.
Yep, exactly what I was thinking this morning. I was looking at the sky while I was driving, thinking, I just want to go and lay on the grass somewhere and look at the sky for an hour. Can I please do that? I will, but not right now because I'm doing a podcast.
That would be interesting. Next time you go there, call me up and we'll record a podcast off the grass. It'll be like a grassy podcast. And
clouds, birds. I have been recording a lot more videos of my everyday life and putting them in my stories because, sometimes you get that fear of I'm sharing too much and this is boring and all that. But then sometimes it's actually really nice to share a little bit of your life and where you are. And I love showing people the beautiful place I live. And the other night I was sitting on my doorstep at night looking out at the dark and just listening to the frogs and the cicadas and the crickets. And I went, you know what, I've got to record this for people because people in the city don't hear this. So I recorded it and put it on my stories, and people were like, wow. Even something like that.
The cicadas.
Even something like that. People, we take for granted, and just the frogs were crazy the other night. It was beautiful because it's wet season here. We're very blessed.
Tracks on Spotify where you can just go and play nature sounds, like they've gone and recorded the ocean or a tropical forest or something.
That's right, and you can go to sleep with that. Luckily, I get to go to sleep with that for real.
Yes,
so,
and the annoying voice of your children. Those two. Yeah.
Well, they don't bother me too much now. They're older.
No, they're older. Yeah. They're just staring at computers.
Really?
Now. Yeah.
Oh. Hopefully, they're asleep when I'm going to sleep. I don't always know.
No.
But we have, I've got a friend who lives down near where all the bushfires are, and she posted a really beautiful post this morning on Instagram talking about appreciating those little things, because I think at times like this, for those of you listening who maybe are overseas and don't know what we're talking about, you probably do because it's all over the news overseas as well. We have such a crisis here in Australia at the moment with the bushfires in parts of Australia, really, just it's so overwhelming. We've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
Never. And it's really hard to know, how to how to share your everyday life on, with your friends and that without being depressing, because there's so much stressing everyone out.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's a very tricky thing because everything that you see has like a flip side to it. So, like, I saw this beautiful post of this forest after the fire. Like, this is a very well known fact about Australian bush, is that if the trees actually burn, it promotes new growth.
Yes.
And people are posting these incredibly beautiful photos of all these trees like budding with new growth. And I was like, man, this is amazing. How resilient is nature? And I felt so open.
Yeah.
And then someone wrote a comment and said, it's a very well-known fact that the branches that grow from bushfires will grow horizontally and not vertically or something like that. And that makes them more prone to falling on people. And it's not... I'm like, oh no, and not all kinds of trees in Australian bush are resilient to fire, and this is going to be like, I'm like, oh.
So let's focus on the negative.
Yeah, and then I saw this. It started raining. I'm like, oh my god, it's raining! Thank God! Like, the bushfires, and then 5 minutes later, a post on Facebook. The rains that are falling are going to cause catastrophic pollution into the rivers and kill all the fish. And I'm like, oh my God, So I was just like, I've just had enough of bad news, man. Like, I'm just going to take the good news, and the bad news, there's not much I can do about it, man.
Exactly. And there's only so much that you can handle hearing. And then you just go, okay, coping mechanism means I have to switch this off.
Yeah, especially after I've had to vacate my house 6 times during the bushfire season. So it's just been, like, I came to the point of saturation. I know a lot of people are like that, where they're like, oh, here we go, leaving our homes again. All right, what are you guys doing tonight? That kind of thing. In the beginning, it was so difficult and traumatic, and then eventually, like,
it becomes the norm.
Yeah, you kind of find coping mechanisms.
Yeah, you have to stop feeling it as much, I guess.
Yeah, and really, like, it's an intelligent coping mechanism, because you gotta stay positive in life, and you gotta do what you can to move forward in a healthy way. It's like, not to disregard the fact that it's happening, but man, like, life needs to go on, and we need to learn from our mistakes. So we need to do better in terms of all the things that have gone wrong. I'm sure that, like, the whole world is waking up to how much better we need to handle nature and to deal with it. Yeah. But and this is a lesson that's going to take us a long time to learn from, and we'll continue to learn from it for a long time, and to put things into action. But also, it's just good to take a bit of a sigh of relief when things have calmed down as they have now, because it's just like next to my house, 200-meter high fires blazing through the bush.
That is so scary.
It's incredible. It's just, so it's okay to sort of switch off the bad news for a little bit and just to put some positive stuff out, like nice cooking videos and nice photos of the parts of the world that aren't on fire, to remind ourselves that this place...
There is good in the world. There's still good in the world.
It's still there.
My friend posted, because she had to evacuate a few times, and she's pregnant and due any day.
Oh.
And she said she posted a photo of some Queen Anne's lace in her garden, and said it's still growing despite all the things that are going on, despite being covered in ash, despite being cooked on really hot days. Nature's truly amazing.
But do you know that when ash comes in contact with that plant and the bees come for that plant, it's toxic for the bees?
Oh, really? See?
No, I'm just making that up now.
Stop it. I'm trying to put a spark of hope and joy in this
Sorry.
podcast.
It's just a negativity bias. I'm accustomed to it now.
Well, I just, like she said, sometimes you have to distract yourself from all the really difficult things and find some joy in the small things. And it reminds me of something I started last January and got slack with, as we do with most things we start in January, which was finding beauty in everyday things. And I do still do this, but I don't always record it, I guess. It's kind of like a gratitude journal, but a photographic one. where I was taking a photo every day, finding something beautiful to take a photo of, like in nature, my children. Don't say anything for it.
Yeah. Well, India's beautiful. The rest of them, I don't know.
But yeah, just trying to find something to be grateful for, and something that I could really appreciate the beauty in wherever I was, whatever the situation, no matter how down I may feel about everything else on that day.
Yeah.
Try to find something beautiful to be thankful for, and to teach my children the same. And, I think that doesn't mean you've got your head stuck in the sand and you don't know what's going on around you, but try to balance out the stress.
It's something I used to do, like with my body, because, I used to have a lot of pain, and I used to focus a lot on the pain in my body. And when I did that, I felt really negative and down.
Yeah.
And then I started focusing on the parts of my body that actually were working well, and not just, my shoulders in pain and my hips feel tight and that kind of stuff. Because it's very easy for us to sort of focus on the painful things, and it's normal because there is stuff that's calling for attention.
Yes.
Like that's what the pain signal is. It's basically saying, do something about me.
Yes.
But if you're doing it as much as you can and you put things into motion, you need to take some time off and focus on the other stuff that nourishes your soul, to give you energy to be able to cope with life's difficulties, right?
That's so true. Feed yourself, feed your soul, so that you can help others in this time and not drag other people down, I guess, because most people are struggling at the moment with all that's going on. Yes. And I guess we all have to do what we can to help each other along.
I say, like, and I'm sorry because I know, we have a lot of followers on the Facebook page and Instagram, but I say take a social media break during this period of time, for people who are bombarded in their feed with all the negative stuff. If your feed is anything like mine, it's all about like the doom and gloom at the moment. And it's, I had to actually get off social media temporarily until I've found that balance for myself. Like,
and that's what do you call it? Survival mode. You sometimes have to do that. Yeah, absolutely. I was listening to a podcast, actually an IGTV video that Marcus Pierce did the other day, and I'll link to it below, because it was really good, and I felt it was quite balanced, because he was talking about how in our society we are so bombarded by tabloid news, and how, like, every time we open our phone or computer, we're seeing photos and videos and getting bombarded with, and it becomes a bit of an addiction to read every bit of news and to to open your phone the minute you wake up and flick to the news bit and just see what's happening and click on all that, and then it becomes this, like, you get dragged into this vortex of constantly checking. And he mentioned the amount of hours that people spend reading news stories, and the average is like 20,000 hours a year or something ridiculous like that. Yes. And he said, he breaks it all down, and when you think about how much you see news a day, if you're the type of person that scroll through news, watch it on TV, listen on the radio, whatever, the amount of hours per day is crazy. And that's a very modern thing. Like, we've always had bad things happening in the world, but we haven't always known about every single bad thing in every single country of the world. And
like the
things that we can't.
Like a headline about some kind of, robbery in Brazil.
Yes.
I'm thinking, Brazil, why is this in my feed? Like, I don't need to know about this.
And I'm sad for these people.
Yeah.
But there's nothing I can actually do about it, and it's raising my cortisol levels, stressing me out, but there's nothing I can do to get rid of that stress. And
I feel bad now that I mentioned that I don't care about Brazil, Joe.
You do care about it.
Yeah, but I don't care about being bombarded by it.
The overload is what you need to, And they say it actually, in the end, if we do that too much, constantly reading news, it does desensitize us, and we get that sympathy fatigue that they talk about, where you just stop caring. And it's not healthy. So But what Marcus talks about in this video is being mindful. Like, of course, you want to stay up on what's happening, but being mindful of how you consume news and how much time you spend on it. And when you wake up in the morning, don't let it be the first thing you look at, unless you're in the middle of a crisis in your area that you need to keep on top of. Like, obviously, if you're in the fire zone, you have to check if there's a fire. That's different.
Thinking about, like, Fires New South Wales. They have that Fires Near Me app.
Yeah.
And it just alerts you when something's happening. Like, you don't have to go look at it.
But you don't have to be constantly on.
No, it can tell you. Right. And so that's the thing. Like, there's so much you can do in terms of lowering the amount of obsession. We're going like, what about this? What about this? What about this? It's easy to do. But I think we've come, at least for me, I do have this need to sort of fill my available time with some kind of knowledge consumption. Right, like I either scroll mindlessly on social media or read news and stuff, especially during the stressful times, because like
it switches your mind off.
Yeah, like
social media.
I went back home to my dad's funeral, and while I was there, the Lebanese revolution started against the government, and I was stuck there, and for weeks until I managed to come back. And then when I came back, within a couple of days, we evacuated, and we continued to evacuate for weeks since. And it just became like my habit to check what's happening in Lebanon. Is my mom safe? Are my brothers safe? And then, what about this headline? And this headline, and all of a sudden, I found myself like, which is very unlike me, because I had sort of made the decision when I came to Australia, I'm not going to read news anymore, because it's just, I grew up in this very kind of political landscape, and it was all news, and
always on high alert.
Yeah, and when I would go back to Lebanon, I would see people watching the news, and I swear it looks like they're watching like a soap opera. It's the same thing. It's like those really long shows that go on for decades, like Dynasty or whatever it's called. That's the news. There's always like some kind of new character that comes in and throws this kind of in the works, and this person says that, and then and some kind of old revenge system happens. It's crazy. And I hated that because it's just had sort of consumed so much of my early life. And now I'm just going, all right, look, no. It's fine to sort of want to read and fill my time with a few things. Making sure, of course, I take time for peace and quiet to do nothing. And that's really important. But I've hit podcasts and Audible more than anything now.
Yeah, same.
And, this is really where I'm getting books that help me be a better person, and are positive. They increase my knowledge about a topic I'm interested in. I spend time playing music, learning about things that feed my soul, and I just can't do any more than that, and try to be like a happy, positive person, I think.
Can I just ask if that whistle is in your background? Oh, it's gone now. I know. Sorry, there's a bit of a whistle.
Is it what key is it in? I can harmonize.
Oh, well done. It's gone now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's off and on. Hopefully the editor can get rid of it. Okay. But yeah, what you're saying is actually exactly what Marcus talks about in the video, where he says, choose your own media. When you're consuming news through popular media like Facebook and Twitter and phone and TV, you're being fed an agenda, you're being fed constant advertising as well as the news. But if you're choosing, say, podcasts and Audible books, you're actually expanding your mind, being challenged, thinking about your world and your life. And obviously you still need to keep up on current events, but don't let that.
Do you though? Do you?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Do you mean? Yeah. Well, I mean the major stuff that we need to know.
I find like people tell me stuff.
That's true. Me too. My mum. She says, "Did you see this?" And I'm like, "Oh no." And she's like, well, you need to know about this. I'm like, thanks, Mum.
Yeah, you told me. You just told me. I'm just going to grab a kombucha from the fridge, Joe. You keep talking about something.
Okay. Can I have one? What flavors have you got?
Well, I've got ginger, just ginger and lemon.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
There you go.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So what was I saying?
You were talking about your mom being your main medium.
I have to say, when we were kids, we didn't have a TV, so we didn't have the news constantly going. And my dad stopped getting the paper delivered because he was feeling this stress of the constant barrage of news, bad news. So
on a newspaper?
Yeah, just the newspaper. So he stopped reading the newspaper because he said every morning, because you get into the habit of as soon as the newspaper arrives, you open it to see what's happening in the day, and your morning begins that way.
Yeah.
And so you're setting the tone for your day, whereas your tone should be set for the day in a much more meditative, quiet, peaceful way. So he just stopped getting the newspaper and rarely listened to the radio because he didn't like us as young children to be hearing that constant bad news, bad news, bad news. So I'd go to someone else's house and they'd have like the news channel going all the time. And I remember feeling really horrified by it because I wasn't used to it. I wasn't desensitized, I guess.
Yeah, you're like, what? All this is happening?
Yeah, it really affected me. And I find that with my son Simeon rang me the other day. He's 20 and he sort of has gotten into, in the last week or two, he got into that cycle of constantly checking the news because of all that's going on. And he's a kid that's sensitive, very sensitive and easily anxious. And so it was starting to affect him. And he rang me all upset and he's going, Mum, this and this and this. And I said, Sim, you've got to pull back from the news and not be constantly on there. Yeah. And I know your friends from overseas mean well, but when they're constantly messaging you, freaking out because of what they've seen on the media, that's probably not helping. It's such a balancing act, isn't it?
It is. I think there's something kind of like somehow I sometimes feel guilty for not feeling like I want to know about all the miserable stuff that's happening.
Yeah. And I think that's what pulls us back in to watch it again because we want to help.
About that. Yeah,
we want to help. We want to, and living way up here, I feel quite helpless at times because I think, well, I just want to go cook for people that need meals, and I just want to do something. But
and you do that though.
Well, as I mentioned on Facebook the other day, we had a big discussion about this, and here's a few of the things that I decided that I can do. I can donate, which, a lot of us can donate something, even if it doesn't seem like a lot. I mean, we're not Celeste Barber and we can't scrape up millions and billions of dollars like she can, but we can donate.
She raised it, it's not like...
Yeah, that's right. I know, but some people can do that and make a gigantic financial donation, where those of us, we can add to that. We can put our little bit in. Yes. We can, for me, I thought, I have to really think about what my path in life is and what I'm supposed to be doing in life to help others. And I know for a fact that one of the best things that I can do to help others is help them with their diet and their health and their cooking and the practical everyday stuff where people get stuck. And I thought, I shouldn't just put that on a back burner because I feel stuck. I should just keep doing that because I'm still helping people, even if it's not directly related to the fires and things that are going on in Australia. I am still helping people, and I shouldn't just stop that because I feel upset about what's going on. And so I kept going with that, and I started videoing my everyday meals and cooking and just sharing them as I did them on my Instagram and Facebook stories. I finally figured out how to do it really quickly through, so that it wasn't like this great big, I have to sit down and edit a video and I'm never going to get this done.
Oh.
I just started doing it like slapdash, my favorite style.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to get hold of that URL.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just started going, you know what? something is better than nothing. And I've been listening to this audiobook called Present Over Perfect, and I just right, I'm just going to do this. So I just started putting little stories up of what I was actually doing, like including the mistakes that I'm making in my cooking, including the mess, including the cupboard door that fell off, including everything, like just the real me. And you would not believe the amount of messages I've been getting from people saying that has helped me so much. When I look at a recipe, I feel overwhelmed. When I see how easy it is when you actually do it, when you're just using the old veggies in the fridge and the bits of leftovers and making something that you don't need a recipe for, and it's super simple, I go, oh, I can do that. And then they get in the kitchen and start cooking nourishing food for their families that is super, super simple. And my husband was watching me videoing something the other day, and he's going, "Oh God, isn't that a bit basic?" But why are you showing people how to cook steak and make braised vegetables? I'm like, because this is what I'm doing right now, and I just thought I'd share it.
I just would love to know whether he's ever braised vegetables.
No, he hasn't.
All right, okay.
And he probably hasn't cooked steak either.
Yeah,
but anyway. He's totally spoiled, I'm afraid.
You have no right to say that.
Well, the thing is, I started getting messages from people going, "Oh, thank you so much. I never could figure out how to cook steak. Mine's always tough." Or, "Oh my goodness, what a great way to cook those veggies instead of just boiling them. That's so delicious. And I'm going to do that right now. I'm so excited." And so I'm showing him my messages going, "Ha!"
Yeah.
but if, just, and I did a video just talking about all this, and I said, you know what? I have to remember, I always have to remind myself of this, that whatever my path is, whatever my thing is that I'm good at sharing, I need to just keep sharing that and just keep
You have to continue to sing your song to the world, Jojo.
Just put it on mute for a minute, guys.
Okay,
oh, you done? Okay. No. But it's what we all have to do. We have to find, what things we're good at. What's your talents? What's the things that you can help others with?
Mine isn't singing. But
No. But you're pretty good at flute playing, so maybe you could do that.
Getting better.
Oh. And, just keep sharing it. And even when everything seems a bit depressing around you, just keep showing kindness, keep sharing in whatever ways you can. And I feel like there's a ripple effect from that in some way helps with the current stress in our world, in our country. Do you think so?
Yeah. Like I remember, I love this guy that I watch on YouTube called Muji, and someone went up and asked him, what, like all this stuff is happening in the world, like murders and wars and ecological crises, what are we to do, in the same way. And I remember, like, I'm sort of
paraphrasing
what I'm saying. They said you have to find your own peace, because a person who's acting out of peace is the strongest force on the planet.
Exactly.
He said, one candle that's lit up can light 1,000 candles without any effort.
Yep.
Without any effort to itself, just by being lit up.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think that's such a wise bit of advice to remember not to sort of be taken over by fear, to always choose to find this peace. And how do we do it? We do it by being ourselves, by sharing our gifts, by not dwelling on the negatives, by acknowledging what's happening, but contributing positively to change.
Yeah.
And
finding ways.
Braised vegetables and cooking steak is a fine way of doing it too. Like
Thank you.
Yeah, it's totally, it's great, because look, like you're reaching out to the community, and they need to eat, and food brings people's mood up, and they feel happier if they're eating good food and delicious food, and then they're more resilient in the face of adversity, and then they can recover as people and as families and as communities.
Yeah.
And, and it starts with braised vegetables.
That's right.
Dave.
And also, I started off these videos because it was the Christmas holidays. It was just after Christmas, and I was showing what I was doing with my Christmas leftovers. And then I was showing what I did with the things I cleaned out of my fridge and all the fruit that was starting to go soft. And so I was showing how ways to reduce food waste. And that comes back to environmental help. Like there's so much food wasted that OzHarvest statistics that they've posted on their website say that 1/3 of groceries bought are wasted. That'd be like going and buying 3 bags of groceries and just throwing one away.
Yeah.
And, if I could do my little bit of showing people how to reduce food waste, well, that's a step forward. If we all started reducing our food waste, that's a step forward for the environment right there.
That's right.
Yeah.
I
and
think,
also, sorry, you go.
No, continue with your idea.
Well, I had a new idea, so you go on.
Let's go for it. Let's go for your ideas.
Okay, well, and the other thing I mentioned that I was reading, there was a quote that I read that said, "No act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted." Aesop said that apparently. Aesop, like Aesop's fables.
The fable. Oh, yeah.
The fable guy.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, that did help at the time because I was feeling so helpless. That I was feeling like donating's not enough. I need to do more. And I thought, well, at least that's one thing I can do. I can show kindness to people I'm in contact with, either online or in person. And that begins the ripple effect. And, you just do what you can. And Fuad and I have been sending out some life-changing food cookbooks to people who lost theirs in the fire. That's a very small thing, but it's a little ripple of kindness. And I just got a message back from the first person who received hers, and she said, "Thank you so much. It's been a terrible day here again." And that just brought such a smile to my face. So, just a little thing, but it's something.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming up with that idea. That was totally Joe's idea. I was in my own little world when Joe goes, "Can we send some books out there?" I'm like, "Yes, please, do whatever you can."
Yeah. Well, poor Fufu, I probably need to send you a care package. You're down there where the fires are.
All right, Joe. It's nice talking to you and being able to do this podcast again with you after such a big year.
Yeah, we both had so much on in the last few months. It's been hard to do the podcast, but we'll be back.
It is, and hopefully the momentum keeps going, and we start bringing some awesome new and old guests onto the show again.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, if you have anything that you want us to talk about, send an email to help@quirkycooking.com.au. Yeah. We'd love to know what you want us to look into for you. So you've come across some interesting, helpful information on social media from a bunch of people. Do you want to share that?
Yeah, so one of the posts that popped up in my Instagram feed that was very positive, that was from the functional nutritionist, and I'll put the link below, and she talks about how to cope with the high levels of smoke and the poor air quality from a nutritionist perspective. So she talks about some practical points which most people would know, like, keeping your animals inside, wearing the certain type of mask. She actually says to avoid vacuuming because it stirs up the dust, which I thought was interesting. But she talks about some good stuff with like steam inhalation, adding a few drops of essential oils like thyme or eucalyptus to nearly boiling water in a bowl, put a towel over your head and breathe that in, and that helps to clear out your sinuses. Using a herbal eye wash to soothe irritated eyes, and the types of herbs to put in that. So calendula, hydrastis, which is golden seal, chamomile, euphrasia, which is eye bright. Plenty of water to reduce the scratchy throat, coughing, dry nasal passages. Increasing the anti-inflammatory foods. So you want plenty of garlic, ginger, turmeric, green leafy vegetables, oily fish, nuts, beetroot, pineapple, chia seeds. Can you think of any other good ones for anti-inflammatory?
That's a good list. I think if you're starting there, that's pretty good. Fish oil is really good.
One of the recipes that I posted on my videos is a healing chicken soup, and it has a lot of those ingredients in it: garlic, turmeric, ginger, all the onion and all those kind of things, which really help to make the mucus in your sinuses runny, which when you've got all that smoke, that can cause congestion in your sinuses.
Yeah.
That would help with all of that as well. And the stock, meat stock. So increasing sorry?
Did she mention like doing things like sauna? I wonder if that's helpful.
I think that would be helpful, wouldn't it? She didn't mention it there, but I've got a couple of other posts from different people that I'll include links to as well with all sorts of ideas. But increasing high antioxidant foods, so all the dark purple foods and the berries and and then she talks about
that's generally a good way to live anyway.
It is.
What she's talking about.
Yeah.
Like this is stuff that's sort of...
This is not the time to be eating junk food.
Yeah. But it's okay if you are. That's all that's available.
And we're not trying to put further stress on you. But if you want to, if you're in an area where you can stock up on these good foods, then stock up.
For sure.
Yeah. And just like see a naturopath for some herbal support. Like there's different, like adaptogens for stress and things like that. They can make some really good herbal tinctures that would help, I think.
I think it's really important to pay attention to the stress levels.
Yes.
Like by bringing just your awareness to it. Because I've often caught myself just running on stress and not realizing that I'm stressed until I've sort of almost reached burnout. So maybe if you can start including a practice to check in with yourself to see what thoughts are going through your head, how you're feeling emotionally. If you can even name your emotions, quite often if you say, like, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling fearful, I'm feeling worried, even if you just look into yourself and name what you're feeling, this is a technique that is proven to lower the intensity of those emotions. So if just by bringing awareness, just by saying, I'm feeling anxious, that immediately helps lower the anxiety. So take some time and maybe right now pause the podcast and check in with yourself and see how you're feeling, and unpause it when you're ready. And Jo, we didn't mention the app, did we?
No, we haven't.
Okay. Do you want to tell our listeners about the app?
You go ahead.
Okay, so this has been in the works for quite some time, but Jo and I have always wanted to turn life-changing food into an app so that you can use it on your phone. And we released the app just before Christmas, so you can find it on the App Store. It's just for iPhones and iPads at the moment. It's less than half the price of the cookbook, the physical version of the book. And it's got all the recipes and all the content that is there in the cookbook. It's fully available in the app, and it's instantly downloadable on your phone with high-res photos. It's a really beautiful experience to use the app, and we're donating. Is it 10%, Jo?
Yeah, 10%.
Yeah, 10% of the earnings from that book to the New South Wales Fire Service.
Of the app.
Of the app, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, of the app. So that's one way you can support the fire effort. And also you can get the copy of the book, have it digital. I use both now. So like I quite often,
me too. It's so good.
Isn't it great to have it on the phone? Oh, it's so good. So that's available there, and it'll keep you sort of looking for the healthy options as well. And if you haven't actually read through the book, like a lot of people just look at the recipes, but the book is completely full of information about how to eat well and to look after yourself and do it in a low stress way. And it really changes your perspective on how to eat. So if you haven't read it yet, grab the app. You'll have it within minutes, and then you'll be able to start reading straight away.
Also, for those of you who haven't got the cookbook yet, we have actually got a new print run arriving end of this month to early Feb because we've run out. Did you know, Fawad? We've got completely none left.
That's great.
Yeah,
it's great. It's a good problem to have. Hey,
it is. But they're on their way. So if you want the actual physical copy of the book, you can either back order it online in the store, or you can just wait until early February and they'll be back in the store by then. So it's pretty exciting. 5th print run, Fufu.
5th one, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That book has changed our lives and the lives of so many people. It's crazy. I still pinch myself that we managed to get it out.
I know. Such a big job. Oh my goodness. But some feedback that I've had about the app is it's so handy for when you are going through your fridge and you go, oh, I've got all this celery or beetroot or whatever. What am I going to do with it? So you just go to the app and search celery or beetroot, and all the recipes with celery or beetroot will come up. And so then you go, I can make this. So it's very handy. And also when you're out shopping and you find some ingredient on special and go, look at this pomegranate juice that's on special. No, I don't know. What can I make with that?
Yeah, you go search. You search
that's
for
right.
it.
You search for it.
You can't do that in the physical one.
And you got it with you. So, it's very handy. And another question that I get asked a lot is, does the book have vegetarian recipes, or does the book have GAPS recipes? And people will ask, how many are there? And before I would be like, I don't know. I remember once sitting there counting all the vegetarian recipes in the actual physical book. But now I just type it into the search bar and it comes up with all the recipes. And by the way, there's 80 recipes that are either vegetarian or have vegetarian variations. 80 recipes out of 128. There you go.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah. So if you're wondering about all that and you don't have the app yet and you want to ask questions, you can just go into the Quirky Cooking chat group and ask in there. There's plenty of people in there that have the app and can tell you what, their reviews. But yeah, it's very exciting.
Jo, I've loved this podcast with you.
Yes.
It's been so much fun.
Oh, good.
I do have to head off now.
Yes. I was thinking that's probably time.
Yes, and so much for a half-hour podcast. Hey,
I know we never are good at half hours.
No,
don't work well for us.
John and I what are we going to talk about when we record it?
So thank you for listening, guys, and we hope that it was helpful and encouraging.
And happy 2020. I hope it's a beautiful year for all of you, and it brings many, many gifts, and it makes up for all the terrible times of 2019.
Yeah.
So I'll chat to you soon.
Okay. Thanks, guys, for listening. Bye.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/The Wellness Couch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives.
Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.